Good evening, everybody, and welcome in to another episode of the Sports Show here live on WBON TV. I'm Michael Watkins, and joined once again by Jamie Boggs, who is the morning show host on our new Berea radio station, 106.7 The Pinnacle. And Jamie, I say new, but you've been around for a while now. It doesn't seem like it because we've not been able to be in the office for about 2 months now. But not got a chance to talk to you a whole lot. But every single morning, you're still doing the morning show and keeping the folks awake over in Berea. Just kind of tell us what's going on.
Yeah, every morning, 7 to 9. If you're able to get out and drive, you can join me on your commute. We're also streaming online if you're at home and want to listen in. But we talk about news happening around Berea, what's happening in town, what's coming up, and just try to have a good time in the morning. Try to wake up, especially today. I had to wake myself up several times because it's Monday. But try to have a good time and keep it light.
So what have you and the family been doing? I know we're still quarantined, but stuff is opening up now, and seems like we're on the verge or heading in the right direction, I guess you could say, as far as being kind of back to our normal ways. So just talk about what you and the family have been doing. I mean, the weather's been really good this past weekend. I've had a lot of water balloon and water gun fights the last few days.
I don't think you and I have talked about it. We're completely renovating our house.
Oh, wow.
We built on 2 rooms and we redone our kitchen. So I don't know that I've ever been busier than I have been during this quarantine, but it's been at home. And this weekend we got outside and opened up the pool, and the kids actually got in it yesterday when it was like 70 degrees. I ain't about that life, but they felt brave. So, yeah.
So 2 questions. First of all, is one of those rooms for me? And second of all, when can I come swim?
There's always room for you, and you can come now if you want. I don't care.
Well, let's get done with the sports show first. I'm going to work on my tan because it's I don't know if we'll be going anywhere this summer or not, but I got to work on that tan, get ready for the beach life if that's the route we choose to go, if we're allowed to choose that route. But coming up on the show today, I've got a lot of Madison Central talk. I've got interviews with Alan Feldhouse. We'll talk about that last game, what a heartbreaker it was to Tate's Creek. We'll talk about that. I'll ask him about the team he's got coming back, which is pretty much everybody. I think he said 99% of his scoring comes back from last year, which is a big deal. So we'll talk about that. And, when you have that sort of amount of players coming back, as opposed to Madison Southern, who lost so many people, this kind of quarantine, not being able to get in the gym might not affect Madison Central as much because they're bringing everybody back. So we talked about that and some more stuff. And Mark Centers, the football coach, we talked to him about the possibility of not having football this year and some more stuff as well. So we'll get to that later on in the show. And then next Monday, you have secured us an interview with a pretty cool guest that we'll be able to talk to on the show next week.
Yeah, we got Justin Rogers. He is the highest ranked recruit for Kentucky football for this fall's class, the 2020 class. Offensive tackle, big personality. We're going to be able to talk to him on the phone, and we'll try to put together some pictures and highlights and that kind of thing to help you see how good this guy is. And he's a really good interview, and it's going to be fun.
All right, we'll come back, take our first commercial break, and we'll hear from the head coaches at Madison Central, Alan Feldhouse, so the basketball team, Mark Centers, the football team, and our draft coming up on the show today on the Sports Show on WBONTV.com.
So you guys have shown us a lot of love on Facebook and, of course, our website at WBONTV.com. So we're going to let you in on a little secret, our YouTube channel. It's where all the local stories are posted first for news, and you can even catch the live stream of any of your local high school sports on there as well. Be sure to subscribe, as well as clicking on the little bell for notifications. For when we post a video go live, you'll be the first to know. And don't be afraid to share and like a video. It really helps us out here at the studio to bring you the best in local news. And of course on Facebook, hit the See First button so we come up first when you're scrolling through your timeline.
At CT Diesel Performance, they promise not to do anything to your vehicle that they wouldn't do to their own. Chris Thorne and the gang don't just work on diesel vehicles either. They also repair all auto gas vehicles and are fully serviced and ready to take on any job. Nothing is too big or too small for CT Diesel Performance. Located just off Exit 97, CT Diesel can even come get your car if you have a problem while driving down I-75. CT Diesel Performance in Richmond and at ctdiesel.us.
Who makes the best meal in Richmond? Nuevo Vallarta. Friendly service, a place that's good for kids and good for groups. Head to Nuevo Vallarta on Big Hill Avenue in Richmond. Nuevo Vallarta is known for warm hospitality, great prices, great food, and the best margaritas and fajitas in town. Doesn't a huge 32-ounce ice-cold beer sound great? Start with an appetizer, order a la carte, or choose from their huge menu of Mexican favorites for grown-ups and kids. Nuevo Vallarta on Big Hill Avenue in Richmond.
Patrick O'Neill has been serving Central and Eastern Kentucky since 1995. When someone is accused of something they didn't do, or when a good person makes a mistake, they need the best representation they can find. And that's Patrick O'Neill. Whether it's criminal defense, Social Security, disability, personal injury, workers' compensation, or deeds and wills, when you need legal advice, trust the expertise of Patrick O'Neill. He will get you the money you deserve. His office is located in Jackson, but Patrick practices all over Central and Eastern Kentucky. For more information or for a free consultation, call 606-666-2990.
Here with Mark Centers, the head coach of the Madison Central football team. And coach, over the last few weeks, we've been talking to a lot of former coaches or coaches with a lot of our local teams. And this week we're focusing on Madison Central. Wanted to talk to you about the football season. Hopefully there is one. First of all, let's look back to last year. Obviously, you come off an amazing season, maybe one of the best, if not the best in school history. You have a lot to replace, a lot of playmakers that graduated, went on to play college football. Only a one-win season, but a lot of positive things, I think, that came out of that year. When you look back at that season, we'll talk about Cannon here in a few minutes, but what are some of the positives you could take away from what you guys did last year?
Well, I hope to take away a lot of positives. Obviously we played a lot of young guys all over the field. We had a handful of seniors that were really key contributors this past year. But clearly, you look at the roster, we had a lot of younger guys, sophomores and juniors playing key roles. So that experience and being able to bring back game experience is going to be a good thing. Last year, the thing that I've been so impressed with our kids and from day one, when we had our first meeting in January, is the attitude that our kids have had. I've told people this, we were having probably our absolute best off season at Madison Central. Our first, because our kids got right to work in November and did a lot of really good work in November and December. But I think the first Wednesday back to school, January 5th, 6th, whatever that was, from that first meeting on, we had a lot of guys locked in, and we were doing a couple of sessions, virtually like 97% of our roster was in the weightlifting class. They were doing well in there, but we also did a second session after school. And, among projected varsity guys, we had tremendous attendance, even guys who were participating in other things, that in different activities and getting ready for track season and those type of things. And so, and a handful of really important guys that were preparing for baseball season. Of course, those guys went on to baseball, but we had really good attendance. And, Coach Kirk and Coach Roof and myself, we kind of felt that week that we got shut down that this was going to be something bigger than what folks were anticipating. And it was the week right before our kids were supposed to get their next max. And we had a really good max back in December, but it was at the end of their cycle, and we were getting ready to have a really big max. So we went ahead and bumped up and let the kids get their bench max in anyway. And, we had a ton of guys making a ton of progress, had, 8 or 10 guys that were up right at 300 pounds or more on bench, and some guys that were doing some really good things. And we knew our lower body numbers were going to be even better. So, I'm excited about those things. I think I've told our guys who are now rising seniors, it's a really large class, 28 kids in that class. And,
oh, wow.
And a ton of rising juniors as well. A lot of those guys, Edrin Sweat, Noah Shipley, Jeffrey Kinley, Peyton Danino, Adrian Parks, a bunch of those sophomores got time and are going to play really key roles. And those guys, they worked so hard. I felt like our guys were working this year like a team that was coming off a region championship, ready to do something else. I was really impressed with that. Again, last year, tough year. It's starting to get these, thankfully, one of the exciting things, we're starting to get some of these folks requesting preseason interviews and, what we're expecting for next year. And, I did a little bit of research getting ready for that. And we had, if I remember the numbers correctly, I don't have them with me here at home, but I think we had 14 players miss a combined 47 games on the varsity level last year. So the injury bug hit us hard all around. It started in preseason and just kind of carried through the year. That was a tough thing to deal with. Dealing with a smaller senior class and playing some inexperienced guys, that was a tough thing to deal with. And quite frankly, the ball didn't bounce our way sometimes. And that was very hard to deal with too. One of the more difficult football seasons that I've worked through in my career. But, I feel like that the kids deserve a ton of credit for their resiliency and their willingness to work and their willingness to bounce back. And you saw how hard our kids fought in that first round playoff game at Clark County. And I feel like if we'd have slipped up and won that, we'd had a shot at district championship. And so, I'm just really proud of our kids, and I give them all kinds of credit. And I'm excited for the way they were working. And I, we've had to kind of shift gears a little bit here in the last, 6 to 9 weeks or so. But, I think there's a ton of positives that we can take going forward.
Well, you talked about, changing gears. The positive thing or the good thing about that is everybody's had to do that. It's not just Madison Central. So you're not at a disadvantage there. And you talked about the injury bug hitting you guys. Well, that hits you right at home as well with your son, who was the quarterback, Cannon. You and I talked about it before we came on the air. Give us an update on him and how he's doing with his progress from the torn ACL and everything that went on with his leg.
Well, it did. And we had 8 guys go down to season-ending injuries. 7 of them ended up in surgeries, pretty major surgeries of some type. A couple of guys with shoulders, and Cam McAlpin getting hurt in the Southern game. He easily one of the best run blockers on the team, and he got banged up that game, had to miss the rest of the year and a subsequent surgery. And, there are a lot of guys who had to go through it. But, and as you'll remember, we watched Hunter Hazelwood go through not 1 but 2 ACL tears. Watched Will Jacobs go through a couple of those things. Blake Gross a few years back before that.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, if I'm being real candid with you and kind of wearing that hat that's kind of peculiar for me, the dad hat and the coach hat, definitely being up close and personal with Cannon's not only injury, rehab. It was his ACL and his MCL completely torn, and his meniscus ended up being completely torn because the way that the hit happened, and it kind of dumped him over. It kind of L-shaped the knee there, and that it was a significant injury, no question. Thank goodness we had fantastic doctor and Dr. Johnson over at UK. The staff that had been there, Dr. Johnson's fellow, Dr. Unger, at the time, was on our sidelines that night. He was the first one really to diagnose Cannon and look at Cannon, and he was in the emergency room with us late that night, and he was the doctor that Cannon saw first thing Monday morning. So he was involved in it every step of the way, all the way through surgery. So kind of a unique situation where the doctor who treated the kid on the sideline was in on the surgery as well. And, just following him through that process, it's been, it's been tough. It's been, and there have been moments where I've been really proud as a dad and a coach, watching him show the grit that he's had to show to get through this. And, just at the end of the day, we continue to pray for the best, and things definitely look a lot better today than they did, 5-6 months ago. So we're excited about that. He had a really good doctor's appointment for a 6-month follow-up a couple weeks ago, and he's Heather and folks over at OSPT just do a phenomenal job with all of our kids, and certainly doing a great job with him as well. So we're thankful for such a great support group. We're thankful for all of that for all of our players. But personally, me and my family, we're very thankful for that support group too. And so we're excited to see what happens for you.
Well, one thing that I'm hearing a lot around the community is we know how good that middle school program has been at Cottle, and Clark Moore and some of these other programs have had a lot of really good talent coming through the ranks the last couple of years. You're going to get some more talent coming in that freshman class. Now, I know that a lot of freshmen don't get a lot of playing time at the varsity level, but you got some really talented guys coming up. have you talked to any of those guys and getting them in some of these programs that you're doing at the high school level and getting them ready to take that next step and come up and be a part of Madison Central football?
Yeah, definitely. It's a really exciting time for that. And you know, I'd be not telling you the truth if I didn't say that we hadn't been looking at seeing that coming for a few years now. You know, that's one of the most exciting things about our program. One of the things that I've, you know, really been excited about again since back in January. You know, numbers aren't everything, but in 6A football, they sure do matter. and I'll even go ahead and just say large school football. You know, 4, 5, 6A football. Numbers matter. Numbers help tremendously. So you go through a deal like we went through last year, and it could happen anytime. You got to have some depth to withstand the injuries, but you also have to have some depth to just withstand the normal Friday night and get kids some rest and help kids out. And, you know, I believe, you know, unofficial numbers, you know, January numbers are great. Numbers in a picture in August are a little bit better, but numbers on a trophy and plaque at the end of the season, that's what we're looking for. But we were, you know, riding in the mid-80s to high 80s projected for a varsity roster.
Wow.
And we went out and met with our middle school 8th graders coming in and coming up. And, you know, we had great attendance at each of those meetings. We had to start we work with our 8th graders briefly, try to bring them up to really, as much as anything, just get them accustomed to our coaches in the spring and things like that. I try to wait till after basketball season before we do that. It tends to help numbers. And invariably, the way that the baseball seasons and track seasons and coaches have worked with middle school, they're usually able to come over and get a little work in with us and then practice later in the evening for those spring sports. So that's kind of been our way of doing things. And this year, we got a little bit later start than normal. But at the 2 sessions that we were able to have before the shutdown, we had right at 50 kids that were 8th graders coming up for the freshman team.
Wow.
And, you know, of course, there's a lot of those kids, a lot of those guys that have some potential to do some things. You know, there was a couple of nice athletes and a little bit of size coming from Madison Middle. There were not nearly as many kids from Clark Moore's as we've typically had in the past, but the kids who were coming from Clark Moore's were really locked in and excited to be there. A kid like Braxton Hodges sticking out to me because he, you know, was you know, very much showing a leadership role in that group coming over. And then, you know, we expected large numbers to be coming from Cottle, and those guys were coming. And, you know, everybody kind of, Kenyatta Cards is already developing quite the name tied to our Madison Central program with basketball and the way that he, you know, he kind of like prototype 6-man that he came in and then developed into playing a ton and starting a little bit there at the end of the year. The energy that he brought and things like that. There's no reason to think that he might not be able to bring that same energy and be able to compete, you know, with us at the high school level. And quite frankly, I don't know what level, you know.
Yeah.
I've said for years and, you know, almost got a bad rap because I have been so, I don't know the exact right word, but I've been so intent on our freshman program. And our freshman program has been such a huge building block for us in getting these numbers. I think our freshman program was a real key in every single season we've had as far as numbers coming, keeping kids involved in the program and moving them up through the program, moving them to the next level. You know, last year's senior class was pretty small. It was the smallest group of freshmen that we had in our, you know, going on 7 years here. That being said, we kind of expected it to you know, to be a smaller senior class, and it was. Well, with the numbers that have been coming the last 3 years, we expected it now. I mean, again, 125, 130 kids on a roster. When you're talking top to bottom, it's pretty good numbers. Now, you know, again, I think our freshman program is very important. I think it's great for our kids to have that opportunity to compete. The way our structure is, where we're bringing 3 different schools, 3 different ways of doing things, 3 different offenses, defenses, terminologies, where we don't have that as much at the middle school level, where it's, you know, like a Scott County, where, you know, I got you going to run the wing T or else, you know. Well, we've got guys coming in from different programs. That freshman year gives us a chance to blend them together. And it's happened over and over again. And our freshman team been in the conference championship 3 out of the last 6 years and something like that, and they've always done well. But it's that time to bring them together. Now, I'm never going to paint myself into a corner and say that there's a freshman that won't play varsity, because obviously this year proved that.
Yeah.
Pat Warren won the kicking job. He had the talent to do it. Now, we asked a lot out of that freshman. I'm not certain as a coach that we put that freshman in the absolute best position for him to be successful, because we were asking a lot of him as a 14, 15-year-old freshman going out there in varsity game. Now, the mental side of kicking being so important, and I'm really proud of Pat and the job that he did in doing that. I think he did an exceptional job for a freshman, and I think he has a bright future. But you start moving that now into a position that takes more of a physical beating. You start moving that into a linebacker or a running back type position, an O-line, D-line type position, where now that that kid could be paired up against an 18 or 19-year-old grown man, a guy who could be going to the Army anytime soon. You know what I'm saying? And so we have to be cautious with that, but at the same time, not paint ourselves into a corner, because if the athlete's ready and he goes out and competes and wins the position, then he needs to play. But at the same time, it's a balance, and I'm always going to try to err on the side of caution. I like to see a kid dominate the level that they're at, and then move up and show that they can be highly competitive or dominate it, and then move up and then show that they can be effective on the varsity level. And again, we'll see what happens. We've got a lot of kids that those kids have been working hard, and certainly a ton of excitement around that group of kids. It's going to be exciting to see us get them together as a true Madison Central group, all 3 schools together, and get them blended, because that's going to add a whole lot of depth to that group that each of the 3 feeder middle schools didn't enjoy a ton of depth.
Yeah.
In their 8th grade class. So getting the 3 together, I feel like that could really add to a nice deep freshman class, and hopefully they can add to our program for the next 4 years.
So we're hearing a lot of different things. I've heard the proposal of playing high school games on Saturday morning. I've heard the proposal of no fans in the stands. I mean, with this coronavirus that's going on, how are you preparing for your normal season, or the possibility of all these different proposals that are up in the air to make sure that we do have high school football in the fall? How are you preparing yourself and your team for all this stuff?
Well, during this shutdown, what I've tried to do for our team is try to keep everyone in contact as much as possible. As far as I know, the guys are in contact with each other. I mean, they're playing Xbox right now. They're on PlayStation or Xbox right now, talking with the teammates and doing those things, and social media and all those pieces. But, in terms of, I'd send out a few videos through the social media things, trying to just kind of encourage and things, those type of things. And then each week I'd send out a personal text to our kids. And just really I feel like the job at hand, the most important thing right now was to make sure that the guys are doing their work and getting that NTI in and taking it very seriously, because, whether we want to admit it or not, this is the hand that we were dealt academically as well as everything else. And there's a very real GPA that's getting ready to post next Monday or Tuesday. And that's going to be really important. And we didn't want to lose somebody who had worked their tail off all winter long to grades when they had every opportunity to get it right. So this step of it, this kind of where we're usually calling it, the second phase of our postseason program, phase 2 for us, spring ball, all of that stuff, we didn't get that. Well, nobody else did either.
Yeah, now you're doing a different kind of phase 2.
That's right. So we've got to keep that in mind and keep that level down. And then and encourage guys to work out on their own. Coach Kirk did an awesome job. We kind of anticipated this thing might be bigger than just a few days. And Coach Kirk put together a home workout packet for the kids, and the kids that were in the PE classes, the strength and conditioning classes, we were able to give them that packet the day that they left. So, and no, it's not like being in the weight room and grinding, 5 days a week, things like that. But for the ones who had weights and had opportunity to get to weights at home and things like that, we've had kids that have made their own weights and done all those things, the things that you've seen on social media and those type of things. A lot of kids doing a lot of stuff. But then I think more to your point and the question that you're asking, kind of moving forward, you know, I've tried to listen to Commissioner Tackett every chance I get and see him on the news and things like that, and try to read the tea leaves, as Coach Cal says, and put some things together. And just, you know, my thoughts are, I feel like we will have a season. I feel like that they will go to great lengths to ensure that we have some type of season. What that's going to look like, I think they're being very honest with us in terms of we don't know. I think we have to be prepared for any number of things. And, you know, Coach Kirk and Coach Jones and myself, and we're talking texts and stuff all the time. I wear them out because it'll be 12 o'clock at night and I'll send a text. You know, but, you know, we've got a bunch of plans in place that if the KHSA were to say in 2 weeks from now, hey, we're going to let you have limited contact with the kids in terms of working them out. You have to stay under the governor's plans and such phase, whatever we're in. And then, you know, we've got plans that could accommodate any of that, and plans that could adapt and accommodate any of that. Would it be a perfect scenario? No, it wouldn't. Would some kids, you know, may still have to work on their own, probably with a roster as big as ours.
Yeah.
But you know, we've got plans to address that should the time come. When the season comes, you know, I believe that, you know, KDE and the folks there are encouraging districts to have multiple plans of how we start school. And the truth of the matter is, and again, somebody else tell you something different. This is my opinion. With my opinion and $1, you can go get a drink out the fountain. But I truly believe that it all rides on when they let us get back to school.
Yeah.
I think most of football in particular is going to ride on when they let us get kids back in the building, back in the classroom, doing those things. Because until you can put a group of kids on a bus and bus them to school, they're not going to let us bus kids to another community to play football against them. And that's just the reality of it. I do believe that there are some really important things that we will be missing out on if we don't do things the right way. I think if we rush back too soon, that there is a legitimate chance that we have to shut down again, and I think that could really harm the whole deal.
Yeah.
So we're going to just try to be prepared for everything. You know, obviously something for us that's really important to us is the Roy Kid Bowl to open the season is our big fundraiser of the year. And, you know, it's a really hard time with everything going on in the world, with people losing their jobs and not able to work and things like that. It's a really hard time for a football coach to sit there and bellyache about fundraising. But we have lost two huge fundraisers here that usually help us that we typically do during the summertime in our golf scramble and a couple other things that we do. And quite frankly, the Roy Kid Bowl is, you know, that's our big one. And that's the one where we kind of can say, okay, we've made budget. We're going to make budget this year, or we're going to have to do some smaller nickel and dime things as the year goes on to help us out. Now, quite frankly, I've done the best I can and so thankful to people like my current parent organization folks and Stephanie Holbrook and Randy Anderson and Kelly Pruitt and those guys that have been so good, but even our past booster presidents, parent organization presidents, Jamie Hahn and Shauna Everly and others who have helped us over the year. They helped us get our financial situation out of a hole when we first started several years ago into a place where we were in good shape financially. So, you know, we had a little bit of money laid back, and in the event that needed a rainy day fund, so to speak, or something came up that we needed, not nearly enough to cover a budget for an entire year.
Yeah.
But we won't be in debt, at least, you know. And that's a big thing. You know, that's a big thing for not only our football program, but that's a big thing for the other sports going forward, because for our athletic department, they're going to need some gate money this fall to help us get other sports going. And so, and that's not just Madison Central, that's statewide.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like there's a lot of moving pieces to it. I feel like that we have to be ready for a delayed start, especially with football. I think we have to be ready for a delayed start. I think we have to be ready for the potential of some of those early season games to be converted to scrimmages, or some of those early season games to be lost altogether.
Yeah.
I think we have to be ready for the KHSA to step in and look at scheduling and tell us you're playing these games and you're not playing those games. There are a lot of things I feel like that we have to be prepared to do when the time comes. If what they're saying, if they hold to what they're saying in terms of the big things that they're looking at is competitive balance, making sure that teams all start at the same time so that we all get off on the same foot. Like you mentioned, with all of us not having spring ball, all of us not having some of the summer prep, really think the goal will be to try to have all of us start at the same time. And I think that there will be some factor in that as well as far as the actual season goes itself. But, again, some season is better than no season. Obviously, our goal is to get cracking, as soon as we can. Jim Key up in Scott County used this analogy. He said, it's like a big NASCAR race and we're all running under caution. And we're all waiting for that green flag to drop, and none of us know when it's going to drop. And when it does, we're going to be going wide open.
Yeah.
He said that. I couldn't say it any better. We all hope that they let us go as soon as possible. My thought process is that may be after the normal dead period, about July. But as soon as they let us go, we're going to be going and excited to get there. So, there's a lot of time between now and July and August. So hopefully we know a lot more soon.
Well, Coach, I appreciate your time. You and the family stay safe, and really hoping we got some football, not only in the fall, but very soon you guys get back out there and get the team working and get ready for the upcoming year.
Yeah, we're looking forward to anything we can get, that's for sure.
All right, Coach, I appreciate the time.
Thank you, buddy.
So you guys have shown us a lot of love on Facebook and, of course, our website at WBONTV.com. So we're going to let you in on a little secret, our YouTube channel. It's where all the local stories are posted first for news, and you can even catch the live stream of any of your local high school sports on there as well. Be sure to subscribe, as well as clicking on the little bell for notifications. For when we post a video go live, you'll be the first to know. And don't be afraid to share and like a video. It really helps us out here at the studio to bring you the best in local news. And of course on Facebook, hit the See First button so we come up first when you're scrolling through your timeline.
At CT Diesel Performance, they promise not to do anything to your vehicle that they wouldn't do to their own. Chris Thorne and the gang don't just work on diesel vehicles either. They also repair all auto gas vehicles and are fully serviced and ready to take on any job. Nothing is too big or too small for CT Diesel Performance. Located just off Exit 97, CT Diesel can even come get your car if you have a problem while driving down I-75. CT Diesel Performance in Richmond and at ctdiesel.us.
Who makes the best meal in Richmond? Nuevo Vallarta. Friendly service, a place that's good for kids and good for groups. Head to Nuevo Vallarta on Big Hill Avenue in Richmond. Nuevo Vallarta is known for warm hospitality, great prices, great food, and the best margaritas and fajitas in town. Doesn't a huge 32-ounce ice-cold beer sound great? Start with an appetizer, order a la carte, or choose from their huge menu of Mexican favorites for grown-ups and kids. Nuevo Vallarta on Big Hill Avenue in Richmond.
Patrick O'Neill has been serving Central and Eastern Kentucky since 1995. When someone is accused of something they didn't do, or when a good person makes a mistake, they need the best representation they can find. And that's Patrick O'Neill. Whether it's criminal defense, Social Security, disability, personal injury, workers' compensation, or deeds and wills, when you need legal advice, trust the expertise of Patrick O'Neill. He will get you the money you deserve. His office is located in Jackson, but Patrick practices all over Central and Eastern Kentucky. For more information or for a free consultation, call 606-666-2990.
We're here with Coach Fieldhouse of the Madison Central Indians, and Coach, I've been wanting to talk to you about this for a while now. That last game, the Tate Creek game, what a game it was, first of all. The ups and downs of that game, y'all kind of started off real slow. The young team obviously got it going there late in the first quarter, and then that game just back and forth was so much fun to be a part of. The way it ended, though, was not. Just talk about how you've been doing getting over that game and kind of how you and the team have been doing since that game.
Well, when you've done it as long as I have, 34 years,
sure.
I get over it. That one did have a little sting to it. I mean, it was a crazy game. I think they jumped up on us 15-2 or something like that. I mean, they were hitting some shots, and we were a little rattled. Had our two freshmen in there handling the ball and got a little rattled against their press, and we turned it over. And the one kid came down there and hit like 3 straight threes in a row. I mean, good shots. I mean, really,
with
really
Cole in his face.
Yeah. But once we settled down, I think we either tied it or cut it to 2 by the end of the first quarter, and then it was kind of back and forth from there. And then I think they had us down 7 or 8 there in the fourth quarter, and we went to our what we call red half, which is our 2-2-1 half-court trap, and had them to take some shots that they probably didn't want to take, and they let us get back into it. And the amazing thing, I guess we got the ball with like 40 seconds to go, and they let us hold it. And we had a chance to make sure that we got the last second shot off. I was kind of surprised. I know if I was playing against us and we had so many young kids out there, 2 freshmen and 8th grader, I'd been putting pressure on us like crazy because I don't think we could have held it for 40 seconds. But, of course, we held it till 8 seconds. I called the timeout. And it was really what happened from there happened to us several times throughout the year. I'll just be honest. We blew 3 or 4 games like that in the last 30 seconds. And, of course, that happens with the young team. And we had the play actually set up for Cole. He was going to take the ball out. We're going to flash Trey to the ball, and then Cole was going to make the pass to Trey and then go get a handoff and just attack the rim. And then we had Braden over there in the corner in case his man helped. And Cole just made I think he got in a hurry. He wanted to get the ball real quick, and he just made a bad pass. And the crazy thing about it, they didn't even put anybody on the ball. There was nobody guarding Cole. And when Trey popped up, he was wide open. There was nobody within 10 feet of him. I mean, it was just one of those things. He just threw it behind him, make a bad pass, goes right in their hands, and then they stick the layup at the buzzer. So I've been on both ends of that. But to happen in a regional tournament game, it does sting.
Well, talking about your team and how young they are, you got everybody coming back, and as a Madison Central fan, you have got to be excited about that because some of these kids, Davis and Skaggs, I mean, even Kenyatta, who, at times this year you were like, my God, he's an 8th grader? That's what it looked like sometimes. I mean, you were shocked at some of the things he was doing as an 8th grader. You got all these guys coming back, and then Will Harden comes out of nowhere to dominate that game against Tate's Creek. Yeah. And to me, with the youth that you have, and then you've got these 2 guys, Cole Brown and Braden Ray, coming back as well to lead the team. And this 11th region, I mean, I know Catholic's bringing back Ben Johnson and some of those guys, but you guys have a really good shot next year, even with all this youth, to make some noise again, not only next season, but for years to come.
Yeah, we think so, because we do have a lot of good young kids, good incoming freshman class too. I would think preseason, I would think we'd be in the top 2 or 3. Of course, Ben Johnson, he'll probably be, if not the favorite, or one of the favorites for Mr. Basketball, but they lost some seniors too.
Yeah.
But I would think we'll have a chance, and that's all we ask for. And I think we will be able to show more improvement because we were so young. I think my young kids, you'll be able to notice. Of course, I haven't got to see them. Of course, I haven't been allowed to, but I know Jalen's 6'4" now, and he sent me a picture, and he's finally getting a little definition in those bony arms. So I think Trey's almost 6'6" now, weighs 190 something. So he's gained some weight. And the one that I really got on probably the most after the season, well, not really got on, but told him he needed to gain weight to play more physical was Cole. And Cole's gained 18 pounds, and it's good weight. I've seen pictures of him, and he's worked. And that's the thing about with these times. I mean, it's hard for me not being able to see him day in and day out. Of course, I mean, I can talk to him on the phone and stuff like that, but you just can't get him in the gym. It'll be interesting to see. I'm just not used to going 2 or 3 months without seeing these guys. So it'll be interesting to see what the first time that we do get to see them. I think I'll be able to notice a change in some of their bodies. I'll be able to tell who's been working and who has not been working. So those young guys, Trey and Jalen especially, I mean, a lot of kids I think I've noticed will go through the biggest changes between their freshman and sophomore year. And I know both of those guys are working. So I really look forward to get them back in the gym and see what they look like.
Well, I've actually seen Cole. I don't know if I think his girlfriend might live on my street. And
really?
Like maybe 2 or 3 houses down, and I've actually seen him. And I think what's the most impressive thing with some of these kids is you don't really get a chance to interact with them off the court. And doing that with Cole, I was really impressed with how good of a kid he is, because sometimes you get kids like that and they're so focused on basketball or whatever. But Cole, my daughter was riding her bicycle down the street, and he talked to her, kind of played around with her for a little bit. So I was really impressed with that, and I've told his mom and dad how good of a kid he is off the court.
But he is, and I mean, really, I'm very fortunate. I've got a bunch of good kids to work with. But Cole, I mean, he loves to work. I mean, I think he took that to heart when we had our meeting there after the season's over with, and I kind of compared him to Ben Johnson because, of course, Ben had to do pretty much everything for Lexington Catholic, and Cole pretty much led us in everything. I said the biggest difference between you two is he's so much stronger than you right now. I was thinking of that regional final game against Scott County that Lexington Catholic had. They beat him to death. Scott County just physically, but he handled it. I mean, he was strong enough where he could handle it. I thought he did kind of maybe force it a little bit there in the fourth quarter. He was used to, carrying the whole load, but I was just very impressed with his physical strength. And I told Cole after the season, you've got to get stronger. You need to put on 15 good pounds. And he has. So hopefully he'll be able to keep that on, and we'll be able to notice a big difference once the season starts. Hopefully we'll have a season.
Yeah, well, that's one thing I wanted to talk to you about too. I mean, with this quarantine stuff, and you've been coaching for so long, I'm sure you're getting a routine, and you've got these certain dates that you start doing different things by. With this time that we're in right now, you can't do these things. How big is that going to affect your normal routine once you all do get back in the gym and are allowed to start practicing?
Well, I mean, the good thing about it is that everybody's having to follow the same rules. I mean,
it's true.
We're in the same boat with everybody else. So I try not to lose any sleep over it because there's nothing we can do about it. So now it's just a matter of waiting to see when we are going to be able to get them back in that gym for the first time. Of course, I know summer basketball's out. I know the month of June, which is kids love the month of June because, I mean, we don't really practice in June. We'll come in a couple of days just to make sure we got our plays that we're going to use and stuff like that. But we just play, and the kids really enjoy it, and I really enjoy it. It's just a lot less pressure, a lot less stress, and you're just playing basketball games. Of course, that's what kids love to do. So I know I'm really going to miss that. I know the guys are really going to miss that. And we're hoping, I mean, who knows, but we're hoping maybe after the dead period, July 10th, maybe we can at least start getting them in the gym, have open gym, something like that. That would be probably best case scenario, but who knows? KHSAA, they don't know. I mean, it's just a matter of time, kind of waiting to see how things progress. But I know I can't wait to get them back in the gym because I've been to the gym every day. I can't stay at home. The weather's been so horrible.
Yeah.
You just got to get out of the house. Man, I've watched I don't know how many game tapes. I watched every state tournament game that we had in 2013. I've watched a lot of basketball games just out of boredom. So it will be nice when we can finally get them back in the gym.
Well, speaking of that state tournament run, Dominique's been in Richmond. Have you talked to him?
Oh, yeah, Dominique. That's the thing with the rule. Of course, I can't have anything to do with my kids, but my college guys, they can come in and I can let them work out. Dominique came in, I guess it was Monday or Tuesday this week. So I got to talk to him for a long time. He's already got a deal worked out in France right now, but his agent's still – for next year, his agent's still looking at other options, so hopefully he'll have some options. So I told him I think you're going to play in every country in Europe before it's over with. I said, you continue to – as long as they pay you, keep doing it. So, yeah, he's in. And actually Kenji's coming in tomorrow. He texted me a couple of weeks ago. He's going to come in and stay with his grandfather for a few weeks, and he wanted to make sure he could get in the gym and work out. So looking forward to seeing him too.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, getting your two main cops from that team that year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I stay in contact with those guys. I've always I mean, they've done a great job after, leaving high school and good careers in college and now getting paid to play. So it's something you enjoy every minute and getting to see the world too. That means a lot.
Well, one thing we talked about before we came on the air, there are some positives with this thing about being at the house. You got both the girls back home. So just talk about what you and the family have been doing while being at home during your quarantine.
Yeah, well, of course, Carrie and I are kind of empty nesters, and we're kind of used to that. And then, of course, Allie with her job with varsity cheer, there are no cheerleading competitions now, so they actually shut the Louisville varsity office down, and they were working from home. Of course, Allie lives in Louisville, but she's been here a lot because she did all of her job right there on the computer. Addie, my youngest, is graduating from Western. I mean, this is her last week. She worked at Best Buy there in Bowling Green. Of course, when the store shut down, she came on home, so she's been home. So it has been good having them home. I've never watched Netflix before in my life, but when the weather was bad, I've even been doing some binging on Netflix thanks to them.
Tiger King, or what show are you watching?
Ozark was my favorite.
I'm saying.
I loved Ozark. Outer Banks, I loved that. Dead to Me, we've watched that. I watched the whole, there's one that's on, it used to be on Netflix. It's on Amazon now. The Following had Kevin Bacon. I've watched all of that. So I'd never seen any Netflix shows before in my life to this. Thanks to the girls, they kind of got me hooked on that. And when the weather was bad, you couldn't go outside. That at least gave me something to do. So it has been good having them home. Ashton's still in Florida. She just finished her recruiting class. I think they had 6 recruits they had to get, and they've got them all already. It was really bad for her because her team won their conference tournament and made it to the Division II NCAA tournament. And their region actually was in Lee University, where Brandon, Fritz, and Chucky played.
Oh, okay.
They were there getting ready to play their first-round game, the NCAA, actually out on the floor practicing when they came and told them that NCAA canceled Division I, Division II national tournament. So I hated that for her, and especially for her seniors, because they had a great year, 26-4 or 5 or something like that. But she absolutely loves it at Eckerd.
Well, good deal. Well, Coach, before we let you go, one thing I wanted to ask you about, this quarantine thing too. You got all these young guys, and that could maybe be a good thing if they are working at home. But do you think that will give you a little bit of a disadvantage going into the season? It might take you a little bit longer to get started because all these young guys, would have been really important to have them in the gym playing together and seeing the improvements of each one. Now you're going to be starting a little bit later. Do you think that might give you a little bit of a disadvantage going into the season? Not
really. We return everybody. I mean, they all played, even as an 8th grader. I mean, Kenyatta had a lot of quality time in the tournament play and throughout the course of the year. And, of course, Jalen and Trey played the entire year. I mean, we've got everybody back. I don't know, probably 99% of our scoring back, I would say, and I don't think we've ever had that before. So, no, I don't think it will negatively impact us. I mean, there's not many teams that can say they have 99% of their scoring coming back. I'm just looking forward to see how much stronger that they've got and how hard, hopefully, that they've been working, over this last couple months when we haven't been able to get in the gym. Well, Coach, I appreciate your time. You all stay safe. Look forward to seeing basketball, honestly, any sport right now. We would all take it, but we're going to be doing our Madison Central draft later on in the show, and I know you and I talked about that before we came on the air as well. Would love your input on that. So once we get our draft done and up on Facebook, I'll see what you think, and maybe you can give us an idea as to who you think would bring home a little victory in that little matchup we're putting together. So that sounds good. Sounds good. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Y'all stay safe. Look forward to seeing you sometime soon. All right. See ya. All right. Thank you.
So you guys have shown us a lot of love on Facebook and, of course, our website at WBONTV.com. So we're going to let you in on a little secret, our YouTube channel. It's where all the local stories are posted first for news, and you can even catch the live stream of any of your local high school sports on there as well. Be sure to subscribe, as well as clicking on the little bell for notifications. For when we post a video go live, you'll be the first to know. And don't be afraid to share and like a video. It really helps us out here at the studio to bring you the best in local news. And of course on Facebook, hit the See First button so we come up first when you're scrolling through your timeline.
At CT Diesel Performance, they promise not to do anything to your vehicle that they wouldn't do to their own. Chris Thorne and the gang don't just work on diesel vehicles either. They also repair all auto gas vehicles and are fully serviced and ready to take on any job. Nothing is too big or too small for CT Diesel Performance. Located just off Exit 97, CT Diesel can even come get your car if you have a problem while driving down I-75. CT Diesel Performance in Richmond and at ctdiesel.us.
Who makes the best meal in Richmond? Nuevo Vallarta. Friendly service, a place that's good for kids and good for groups. Head to Nuevo Vallarta on Big Hill Avenue in Richmond. Nuevo Vallarta is known for warm hospitality, great prices, great food, and the best margaritas and fajitas in town. Doesn't a huge 32-ounce ice-cold beer sound great? Start with an appetizer, order a la carte, or choose from their huge menu of Mexican favorites for grown-ups and kids. Nuevo Vallarta on Big Hill Avenue in Richmond.
Patrick O'Neill has been serving Central and Eastern Kentucky since 1995. When someone is accused of something they didn't do, or when a good person makes a mistake, they need the best representation they can find. And that's Patrick O'Neill. Whether it's criminal defense, Social Security, disability, personal injury, workers' compensation, or deeds and wills, when you need legal advice, trust the expertise of Patrick O'Neill. He will get you the money you deserve. His office is located in Jackson, but Patrick practices all over Central and Eastern Kentucky. For more information or for a free consultation, call 606-666-2990.
On the sports show here on WBON TV, a special thank you to our great sponsors, the law office of Patrick O'Neill, located in Breathitt County. You can give him a call at 606-666-2990 for help with workers' compensation, criminal defense cases, all that cool stuff. If you need legal advice, call the law office of Patrick O'Neill. Also brought to you by CT Diesel Performance. Give Chris Thorne a call. He'll come pick you up. He'll come pick your vehicle up and take care of it for you at his shop, bring it back to you. And also Nuevo Vallarta, Jamie, a great Mexican place here in Richmond on Big Hill Avenue. Check them out. And if you like Mexican food, you will not find a better place than Nuevo Vallarta here in Richmond. It's time for a Madison Central draft. We've been doing these drafts over the last few weeks. Next week we'll have one for Estill County. That'll kind of finish our basketball ones up. Still, we'll be trying to find some stuff to fill the show with. There's some ideas in the works, so we'll get those together, and hopefully in a couple of weeks we can kind of put all that stuff together and get it on. But today it's Madison Central. We've had a lot of fun with Madison Southern, Berea, Model. Today it's Central, and a lot of really good players have come to this program. Alan Feldhaus has won a state championship. He's had many trips to the state tournament. And you look at some of the teams he's had through the ranks, and it's really hard to pick two teams. And that's one thing that Coach told me, too. It's really hard to just pick two teams. But we've done it, and we're ready to get our draft here, Jamie, underway, and you got the first pick.
Yeah, it's about time. I feel like you've gotten the first pick every week. I don't know how
that's the hosts for you. That's the host, you know.
Okay. Well, I appreciate this week, and this one – for me, maybe the easiest first pick of all time. I'll go with Dominique Hawkins, Mr. Basketball, led his team to a state title, went on, had a great career at Kentucky. He was a three-star guy, went on and was a lot more productive and impactful in college at that level, I think, than people expected. Playing professionally, most recently in Germany. But in high school, especially at 6 feet tall, that's not, even for elite high school basketball, he's not a big guy. He's so athletic, so talented, such a good competitor. He's going to be the lead everything on my team.
Well, hearing Coach Feldhaus talk in our last segment, he talked to Dominique's in Richmond right now. He's working out at home, and he's been in the gym at Madison Central. Kenji Bosley will be in town this week, so Coach is going to have him in there. And that was one thing that Coach Feldhaus talked about. It's really cool to have some of his former guys in the gym and getting to talk and work out with them, and because he can't do that with his guys right now. So, and Dominique, he may be the most likable UK player of all time, maybe, because, that team that he was on, his senior year with Malik Monk and Bam and De'Aaron Fox, and he had Derek Willis, another UK guy there. It was so easy to like that team because they had the UK guys, and since then, those are really the last two UK Kentucky guys that were on a Cal team.
Yeah, they were. I got to be there for the SEC tournament that year, and to be there because he had a really great tournament. He was named to the all-tournament team. When they announced that he made the all-tournament team, like, everybody exploded, even his teammates. Fox and Monk were so happy for him. He had such a cool career. Yeah, and always smiling. Such a great guy.
So you take him, and a pretty easy selection for number one. Mine's a pretty easy selection for number two. How about the all-time blocks leader at one point? Now, his record was actually broken the year after he broke it. Isaiah Cozart broke the record for the most block shots in a career in the state of Kentucky. His senior season, it was actually broken this past year But I mean, listen, you got to have an anchor in the paint. And if Dominique was a great athlete, I would love to see him be met at the rim by Isaiah Cozart, a kid that I loved. I mean, you talk about being humble, and we're going to hear that a lot about some of these guys on this roster. Cozart was very humble, as a great kid. He's playing basketball at Western right now. Didn't get a ton of playing time this past year, but when he did get in the game, it seemed like he made a pretty good impact. So my first selection for my roster is Isaiah Cozart.
That's a really good pick. I mean, you talk about not getting time at Western. Rick Stansberry out there is getting 5-star players. It's not like it's a junior college out there. Like, he's playing with some dudes, and he's representing well. I'm going to go in the paint for my second player, get Quan Taylor on that state championship team, leading rebounder, had over 7 rebounds a game, also almost 12 points a game that year. Really strong in the paint, strong finisher, and just a freaky athlete.
Yeah,
and able to do a lot of different things.
I've played pickup ball with Quan, and he didn't really have a great shot when he played at Madison Central, but now that I played with him here, it's probably been a couple of years, but he could shoot the ball a little bit. Freaky athlete is the key word there. This guy he could have a Pepsi in his hand and still jump up and just dunk it with ease. I mean, he's a freak athlete. And guys like that don't come around very often. Now, while he was at Madison Central, he was one of those kids that got in trouble a lot. And Coach Feldhouse had to do a lot to kind of help steer him in the right direction. And I think that kind of goes to the coaching and what kind of guy Coach Feldhouse is. Really tried to put Quan Taylor under his wing. But Quan, I mean, it would be hard-pressed to say that they don't win that state championship without Quan Taylor on the roster.
Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't – I know Dominique Hawkins was Mr. Basketball, and they made the run. Like, they had battles. They weren't dominant over every team in the state. They needed every piece, and he was a key part of that.
So you got 2 of the top guys from that state championship team. I'm going to take another guy, the guy that hit that big shot in the state championship game, and that's Kenji Bosley. Man, this guy has had such an amazing career in college, overseas. He's been a guy that is just a bucket. I mean, he can flat score, and he has continued to do that even after he left Madison Central. And another guy that, again, you had all those pieces together with Dominique and Kenji and Luke Stalker, who was down low, and then Quan Taylor. This team, they were put together very well, and Coach Feldhouse knew how to pull the right strings. But Kenji Bosley, you got to have Dominique. I got to have Kenji on my side to kind of counteract that. And so far, we've each got a really good big guy. We've each got a really good guard to kind of be our primary ball handler.
Yeah, I'm going to go back down to the paint for my third pick and take Sam Jones. Really strong, a beast in the paint. He led the team in points and rebounds his junior year. I think he had 14 and 11 throughout that junior season. Had a good senior year with about 14 and 8 again that year. If you've got Cozart down there, I don't think I can match his length, so I'm going to try to get some big body to try to get between him and the basket, get him in foul trouble, that kind of thing.
Jones was a beast. He grabbed every rebound, it seemed like. And I feel like he kind of dropped off a little bit his senior year, but his junior year, I mean, he led the team in scoring and in rebounding, as you said. And, I think Sam would have been a really good football player. He can move well for his size. I mean, and if you've not seen him lately, he looks like he could be a great linebacker. He's kind of lost some weight and added some muscle. And just a kid, again, who inside the paint, if a rebound was coming off, he was going to get it, and you do not want him to set a screen on you because he's a big boy.
It's like running into a brick wall.
A kid that probably one of my favorite players to cover since I've been doing games here with WBON and in Wallingford, Isaiah Mentor. He's now at EKU. I believe he kind of redshirted last year with Coach Hamilton. And again, length, and he would absolutely dog you. No matter who the other team's best player was, Isaiah Mentor would take that task and he would give them fits. He's a good point guard. Didn't really score a whole lot. He did have some good games during his senior year. But again, a guy had a lot of length, really good defender. And I think he's actually even kin to Dominique. He kind of reminded me of a smaller Dominique as far as his length and just being that defensive mentality. Isaiah Minter, again, he played with Cozart, so I think those two guys kind of having that, I guess that repertoire together. They kind of know how each other likes to play. I think that's a good guy to have on my roster and to kind of be my point guard for my team.
Yeah, I'm going to take another guard now. I've gotten a couple guys down low. I need somebody out to help Hawkins. I'm going to take a guy who stayed local with his college. That's Tariq Miller. Really strong shooter, really smooth with the basketball, kind of sneaky athletic. He's going to help handle the ball, take some pressure off Dominique. But I've gotten to watch him play more in college than I did in high school. And, I mean, he can do a little bit of everything. He's a well-rounded ball player. And, yeah, like smooth is the word I would use, whether it's his shot or his transition game, ball handling, solid player, solid guard all around.
Tariq, I feel like if he would have been a little bit more aggressive, he could have been a really, really good player. He was a really good player, but I feel like he didn't have that aggressiveness that you really need to be that guy to take the next step. He kind of set back in the shadows a little bit of John Williams, who played with him, who was a bigger guard that liked to penetrate and get inside. He played on the teams with Minter and some of these guys, but Tariq was a really good shooter, and as you said, a sneaky athlete. He could get up, and he didn't really show that a whole lot, but once he got on a fast break, he was dangerous, and he could finish at the rim. So Tariq Miller, and as you said, playing basketball at Berea College. Quay Charlton's another guy that played at Madison Central that's over there now, and these guys are very good basketball players, and they're glad to see them stay local and get a chance to play college basketball.
They're making a big impact on the Berea College team, too. They're doing really well.
Yeah. My next guy did the same thing, Kirkland Humphrey. He walked on to play basketball at EKU. He's now, I think, a graduate assistant. But Kirkland Humphrey is a guy that could shoot. He averaged around, I think, 16 points a game his senior year. Again, kind of a quiet guy. He's kind of beefed up now a little bit, working out with some of these other college players since he's been at EKU. But I'll never forget the moment that he was awarded a scholarship with Coach Hamilton, and just a really cool scene to see a local guy. But again, he was a really good player at Madison Central, and one of those guys that could do a little bit of everything. He could handle the ball, he could shoot, kind of a bigger guard. And Kirkland Humphrey going to be a guy that kind of rounds out my roster to go with Minter and Bosley out there on the wings and at the guard positions.
Yeah, I'm going to take a shooter next. If I've got Hawkins drawing double teams, I've got Tariq Miller on one wing, I'm going to have Grant Brockman on the other. For some reason, I always feel like left-handed people are better shooters than right-handed people, so I really like having a lefty on the team. Can really score at all three levels. Can get to the basket, good jump shooter, but for the outside shooting, based on the rest of the roster, I think that's the way to go.
Yeah, I think so too. Your roster is very well put together, and I feel like again, there's a lot of guys we're leaving off. George is a guy, a big man that we're leaving off. You've got John O'Brien, who was another guy that we're leaving off the roster. Cody Alexander is another name that comes to mind. A lot of guys that we've not put on our roster. I tell you what, I love Cole Brown. I'm excited to see the next step that Cole Brown takes in his senior season. And Braden Ray, too. I mean, these two guys were really good as juniors. Now they're going to take that next step as a senior. But for me, when I was trying to figure out my last spot for my roster, you've got two big guys. I've got Cozart in the paint. I was trying to think, who fit really well with Isaiah? Who would be a good fit to kind of be that inside-outside game with Isaiah Cozart? Why not the guy that played with him? Dustin Gerald was really good defender. And Gerald was one of those guys that if you looked at him, like, he didn't look like a ball player, but he did everything good. He could shoot. He could rebound. He was a really good passer. Didn't have a ton of size, but when you've got Isaiah Cozart inside, you don't need a ton of size. And I feel like Gerald was the perfect complementary piece at the forward position for Isaiah Cozart. And, trying to round out my roster, I feel like it was an easy choice to put Dustin Gerald in there at my final position and have him along with Cozart. And, these two lineups, I'm sure Coach Feldhouse would even like to see these guys get out there and play a pickup game. But you've got Dominique Hawkins, Grant Brockman, Tariq Miller, and then inside you've got Quan Taylor and Sam Jones. I've got Isaiah Minter, Kirkland Humphrey, and Kenji Bosley, and inside I've got Isaiah Cozart and Dustin Gerald. Man, listen, if we can get these guys to play some pickup ball, we're going to put that live on WBO and TV because that would be a very fun game to watch and be a part of.
Yeah, like you said, we left a lot of good guys off. It's been fun to even build a bench for this to get like an 8-man rotation. We could have well done that and not run out of quality players to put on the team. Such a awesome basketball history and culture at Central, and it's really hoping we get back on the court this fall to see mainly those two guys that are going to be seniors. That could be a special team.
Yeah, I mean, and we talked about it. They're bringing everybody back. Madison Central going into the season might be one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the region.
Yep.
And they're going to get a lot of love because of everybody they do have coming back. And a couple of names for folks that, maybe didn't follow Madison Central basketball a ton this year. Keep your eyes out for Will Harden, who was incredible that final game of the year, and Kenyatta Harge, the 8th grader, who had some big games. You and I were there for the Berea game or the Madison Southern game.
Yeah.
He came off the bench in that second half. He provided that spark to kind of propel them